Welcome to the Boys of the Blue Triangle Men's Skill Set. This is month 4, dealing with moving a bit differently. Week 1. Health effect of moving versus exercise versus training. Topics covered are blood sugar effect on fatness and coping.
Third quarter, moving differently. Now, first of all, let's look at some definitions. Movement is moving around the house. Activities that require somewhere between 1 and 2 times the baseline metabolic equivalent for staying alive. So that's called 1 MET. Physical activity, housework, catching a bus, gardening, shopping, 3 to 4 METs. Exercise, unplanned, would be splitting firewood, running up the stairs, working on the tools, or planned exercises, the high volume drills you might do in the gym, 40 minutes. That's 5 to 6 times the equivalent of just staying alive. And training, high intensity stuff, lifting weights, 8 to 12 reps, running and being overtaken, or stuff you can't keep up for long. For example, interval training. That is working between 6 and 10 times the 1 metabolic equivalent. So we have movement, physical activity, exercise, and training. Now they all give us different physiological adaptations. They all give us different types of health benefit. And what we're going to focus on in this game is movement and physical activity. Okay, let's have a look at the health effect of insufficient movement. Now, when we eat plant food, that is anything that's grown in the ground, any vegetables, fruit, cereals, grains, and so on, it ends up in the bloodstream as glucose. So plant food ends up as glucose. We call that blood sugar. Now, blood sugar is critical for thinking and other high quality, high intensity activity like lifting, carrying, running, jumping clear of a bus, and so on. However, the tolerances are very low, and it's somewhere between 3 and 6 millimole of whole blood volume is the ideal level to allow the brain to get its share first, and then what's left over can be used to fuel the muscles and other bodily functions. So remember this, the tolerances of sugar in the blood should be somewhere between 3 and 6. Now, if the blood sugar levels fall below 3 on the scale, then we suffer a hypoglycemic effect. That is, we don't have enough sugar to run the body, especially the brain. And we lose concentration, we get moody and obnoxious, and we even get the shakes and get hungry and eat out of control and so on, until we eat again to replenish the level of sugar between 3 and 6. Now, if the blood sugar levels rise above 6, then the sugar in the bloodstream becomes toxic for the capillaries in the brain, in the eyes, in the kidneys, and the heart. And so to reduce that nasty effect, the brain signals an organ called the pancreas to release a hormone, insulin, to rush out, collar the excessive glucose, and take it off for short-term storage in your liver and your muscles. So the insulin rushes around, gets the sugar, takes it off and stores it into your liver and your muscles. Now, if you maintain a range of 3 to 6, this is called homeostasis or equilibrium. So 3 to 6 maintained is a beautiful scenario because in this state, very little insulin is required because there isn't an alarm going off in the brain. And everything works well and your tissues are called insulin sensitive. And all is well. Unfortunately, about 1,200 Aussies a week, that is every week, 1,200 Aussies are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And for the last 20 years or so, they have suffered a pre-diabetic condition called impaired glucose metabolism, which is characterized by insulin resistance. Now, this occurs when the pancreas gets the message from the brain to release more insulin as blood sugar levels are rising. However, there is a problem at the liver and the muscles where the storage sites are full. So if there's no room in the inn, you can't fit any more in, can you? But the brain can't cope, so it now demands even more insulin released as the sugar levels just climb in the bloodstream to dangerous levels. Now, they're normally between 12 and 30. Eventually, the pancreas becomes burnt out, can't produce insulin anymore, and you become an insulin-dependent diabetic. And in between, a non-insulin dependent diabetic, or a type 2 diabetic. But by now, up until that point, 20 years of organ damage have occurred unnecessarily. 20 years of organ damage because your blood sugars were out of control. Now, do you want me to show you how to stop that happening to you? Well, it goes like this. It's dead simple. For many hundreds of generations, people didn't suffer any type 2 diabetes because they had to move almost continuously to get enough food to eat. Thus, we had homeostasis constantly. Eat food, up goes blood sugar. Hunt some more for the next meal, down goes sugar stored in the muscle. So now there is room in the cells in the muscle to allow glucose in the blood to be cleared out and stored into the muscle and liver cells. Insulin sensitivity, big time, no issue. Now wind forward to the 21st century. Simply stand up, fidget, walk around the office, do anything to create glucose clearance, and you will avoid the damaging effect of elevated blood sugar, but also the side effect of insulin overflow. Now, insulin overflow, it's a little bit complicated, so I'm going to try to simplify it as much as I can. You get insulin overflow through lack of movement. Now, when you have too much insulin rushing around your bloodstream, two new bad things occur. Number one, you get fatter without eating any extra food. Get that? You get fatter without eating any extra food because insulin, not only does it help you store glucose into the muscle and liver storage sites, but it also helps store any available fat you might have eaten recently into your adipocytes, into the fat cell sites. Now, insulin, along with alcohol, are known as the gatekeepers of the fat cells, letting fat in, but not letting it out again. And the more insulin you have, the faster you store fat, as if you need that sort of help around the place. Remember this, the more insulin and more alcohol in the bloodstream, the fatter you get without eating more fat. And also, if you've got insulin overflow, you cope less under pressure. The excessive insulin in your bloodstream teams up with a couple of other stress hormones, especially one called cortisol, which seem to irritate the brain and multiply and magnify any anxiety, depression, or hostility you might be experiencing. Plus, it suppresses the immune system, leaving you open to other infections, viruses, and even tumours, simply because you've got far too much insulin rushing around your body. So, what to do to avoid the insulin overflow? First of all, stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. Stand up, walk around, do it again. Come on. Let's do it now. Come on, everyone. Stand up. Yep, you. Stand up. Sit down. Stand up. Sit down. Stand up, sit down. Stand up, walk around your chair. Sit down. Now do it again. Stand up, sit down. Great. Every time you stand up and sit back down, you facilitate glucose clearance from your bloodstream and you delay the insulin response. But if you choose to sit still like the bloke in the corner, you choose to sit still, the higher your glucose climbs as you gradually digest the last meal. And that encourages more insulin to be released. And then the fatter you become, irrespective of the amount of food you don't eat. Remember, it's not about the food you eat. It's about the food you absorb with the help of the insulin overflow. And finally, movement stops this problem. Movement stops this problem. Not so much physical activity, not so much exercise, not so much training. Movement stops this problem. Sedentariness is your enemy number one. Right, let's move on to physical activity. Or, if you like to think about it, continuous walking is an example of physical activity. Now, the best time to do this, the best time to do a bit of extra walking is before breakfast. Research into populations who suffer very little bowel cancer found they hunted their breakfast every day. That means up to 10 kilometres of walking before they got to eat anything. Now it seems that our alimentary canal, that is our digestive system from top to bottom, likes to be evacuated before it's reloaded, thus reducing the food transit time and limiting the opportunity for nasty cancer agents to get off the food and into your gut before they get dumped out. Now, although this idea is contentious among most researchers, we believe walking before breakfast helps stored fat burning by getting up and going before fresh food presents itself at breakfast. Now, many people have benefited from switching their walks from after dinner to before breakfast. Worth a try, don't you reckon? Now, there's one more thing I want you to do at the end of your walks, and that is doing some stretching after physical activity is best, as opposed to trying to use stretching as a warm-up. So the stretches to do after you've been for your walk is the calf stretch, the calf and shin area. Do one repetition of 30 to 60 seconds at the end of each walk. Now, there's a lot we will cover in future matches and future games about stretching and how to do it. But if you've been out walking the dog, you're going to need to stretch this area around the ankle and the lower leg, or you'll develop some foot and lower leg pain. Okay, 3/4 time. Things to do now. Use every single opportunity to move as a chance for glucose clearance. Stand up to answer the phone, walk around the office. It's not an inconvenience anymore. It's a chance for glucose clearance. Walk 1 to 3 kilometres before breakfast, or even less than that. Just set the alarm 10 minutes early, get up, walk away for 5 minutes, walk back for 5 minutes, maybe pay to put a dressing gown on first, then have breakfast. Stretch when you're finished.
Now complete the quiz that looks at this video and return the results.